our house, mythology, philosophy, mysticism, magic, and art rule supreme. So naturally, I was very excited to receive this book in the mail. This must be a poster print that's included. Very cool. I'm going to put that on my wall. And I'm guessing this is a project that they have coming. This is a little postcard. There's their website, and these are other books that they have available. I'm particularly interested in these two. This is a really cool collection, and this is considered to be the first ever fantasy magazine. And very cool that the thank you card is themed with the book itself. So very exciting, very exciting. Le Pater is the name of Alphonse Mucha's personal work. It's a work of spirituality, and it's not a very long body of work. I think it was released as a pamphlet originally, just showing you the golded edges here. Very pretty. And I bought the soft cover. This is also available as a hardcover, and this is the extended edition. So it's got some extra features in here, and it'll start off with a foreword. So there's an introduction to like a biography, a bit of a biography. This is one of the works from Le Pater. So the foreword, I haven't read this yet, so I can't really tell you much about it. Some Masonic stuff going on here. A talk about spiritualism and art, seems like. I think that late 1800s period, early 1900s was such an interesting time in history and art. There was so much like interesting thought going on and exploration. It really was a very spiritual time. So we have a whole big chunk of backstory about spiritualism and art, and then this is where we start into a background on Alphonse Mucha and his history. This inclusion of a ribbon is always exciting in books. Art Nouveau is my ultimate era of art. I just feel like it's peak humanity. I think there's a beautiful blending of humanness and natural. Well, it's so inspired by the natural world that it just feels like such a wonderful expression of this meld between the natural world and humanity. I don't know, I find it so beautiful. The shapes are so organic, and I love that everything is designed. Just everything. It's just full of design. This kind of stuff just kills me. I love it so much. The jewelry is like one of my favorite things. But these like buildings and things that are just designed everywhere, like panels around the mirror, like there's so much going on. There's so much to look at, and it's organic and it's balanced. There's so much thought. Like, it's amazing that people lived in a world like this. I've been to Barcelona, and there are areas in Barcelona that are very Art Nouveau, so you get to walk down Art Nouveau streets, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. It's very uplifting. I love this framing, like, just so good. Like, look at this. This is a subway station. Just amazing. There are still some of these in Paris. I guess this was an expo. Very cool. I mean, there's so much to inhale here. So this is 1900. The World Expos were just such an event. I do have some stereographic slides of some of the World Expos, and it's just crazy. I'm just fascinated with this time period. I just feel like we've fallen away from where we could have gone from this place. Like, if we could just get back to this place and evolve along a different way instead of going into modernism, we would get to a totally different, elevated human state, I think. I think that your surroundings really affect you, and being in something like this just seems insane, first of all, that this is possible and people chose to live like this, you know? And then, oh, this is the pavilion. And then what comes after this. I don't know, something greater. Modernity took us down a weird road. And though I like some kind of like pop art that comes out of modernism, I think there's a lot of garbage as well. So this is some plates preparing for Le Pater. Oh, did we hit Le Pater? Yeah, okay. So that all was like setting the stage for the world that he came from and the world that he worked in. And then this is the work Le Pater, which is the Lord's Prayer. So I'm not a Christian, but I think the Lord's Prayer is a very beautiful poem. So this is Our Father who art in heaven. I really like this stage of the process. There's the drawing stage, the color layout, and then the final work, which is actually a single toned. But I think the color layout is stronger because there's like a little bit of warmth and cool there, but you can see the development. It's interesting that he like made it simplified in the final version, where here it was a little bit more, I would say, mythological. So it's interesting, it goes from one graphic page for the line, Our Father who art in heaven, and then Hallowed be thy name becomes a designed page, a text design page. So there's a balance back and forth. Interesting. And then there's a text page. It seems like a poem. I'm not sure if this is scripture or not. And this is Hallowed be thy name as an image. But isn't it interesting that the god is a goddess? Like, he always works with female form. And I find it really interesting that even though it is a Christian prayer, it kind of has this sort of pagan feel to it, just by incorporating femininity, because Christianity is very masculine. That's really cool. That's really strong. I really find it interesting how humanity, like this is all allegorical. He's such a master of allegory, and how humanity is just this mass of crumpled bodies, and you know, it carries on. It's like they're all in a row heading towards the goddess, and the goddess is just like indifferent as a god would be. I love mythology. And yeah, I love this kind of like language. I think it's really powerful. I think it's a really powerful way to think about life and meditate it. So I guess there's this bounce back between the text pages that are highly designed, also very illustrated. And then you have these like, I don't know if they're poems or prayer pages. And then you have the plates, like the, what's it called? The print pages. You see how the humanity is just groveling and miserable and weak and begging and starving. They look like really pathetic. This is a gentle goddess. This is like a mother goddess, you know, like a Mary or something. See how strong the prep work is? I just love rough work. Like this repeated pattern, it's so technical to make this happen. You know, just so good. Like you can just dissect every little thing. There seems to be like a repetition in the kind of compositional language. There's a lot of like this triangular thing and then like a slice. Almost like it's like a repetition but with new elements. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Interesting. The bodies are resting. This one is weeping. There's a child and a mother, and it looks like a lightning storm. What does it mean? Virgin Mary, perhaps? It's very strong composition. But look at how good that is. I'm just like a concept art person. I just like, this is so strong to me. I think it's the energy, you know? The energy and the initial idea really just carries so much weight. Poppies are a very commonly reoccurring flower motif in Art Nouveau, and these are beautiful. And look at this ring. It's two hands, and there's birds. The birds from the frame are coming to rest in the hands, and then there's a lady feeding a deer from her hands, and it says, give us this day our daily bread. So poppy seed, bread. So it's symbolic even in the illustration. And then this is the plate of give us our daily bread. I really like this one. It's interesting how, I don't know, the groveling nature of humanity. It's like without the God, it's like they're lost, you know? It's like saying without God, you're nothing. It's a little bit pessimistic, but interesting. Like the God just feels so powerful, even though there's like so many. I really like this one. But this goddess in the background feels like Isis, you know? Like very Egyptian feel to it. It's interesting because it's like there's a bigger, more distant, powerful goddess in the background, and then there's a goddess coming forward that is delivering a sea of milk is what it looks like to the humans groveling below. I don't know what those people are carrying on their heads. So there's the distant goddess that almost like worship me, and then there's the goddess that comes forward and delivers, you know? There's so much to dissect there. It's really, really something. Oh, maybe all the plates had hands, because I never noticed that before. This one has hands as well, and it's squeezing grapes into wine. And this is forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Like, everything is different. There's no repetition. That one's really good. Just this desperation in the figures, and mostly male figures. So male figures representing humanity and female figures representing the Godhead. See, this angle is different. He changed it. I don't know which one is better. I guess the angle with the hand here is better. It reads more clearly. And then the highlight becomes this figure as opposed to that one. Interesting. This one changed quite a bit. Ooh, the hands have turned into serpents here. And this one is lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And there's all these little eyes. Ooh, I really like this one. That's pretty high fantasy. I've never seen him do this kind of stuff with like monster creatures. Maybe he does have more work like that. Really cool. It's like a dragon. Really an interesting design though. This is really good. So the goddess comes in to protect her psyche from the temptations of the demons around her, and they're kept at bay. That's really good. And I feel like this is kind of more like his commercial work because it's like more highly designed. That's really strong. This is nice, but actually I think the final piece is stronger in this case. Definitely. That's a really, maybe my favorite so far. And then there's Amen, which is the cover art. Very cool. So I guess now we have some write-up about the making of, and he is Czech, so the Czech version, and then I guess what comes beyond the patter. This is just beautiful. If you ever get a chance to take a look at old newspaper prints or old periodicals, magazines, the print quality will astound you because it was a different kind of way of printing. Like now we'd print mostly digital, but you know, back in the day it was with plates and it was actually pressed into the paper, and the color is astoundingly vibrant. If you ever come across anything like that, I like to frequent vintage shops and antique shops, and if I find anything with like a red ink or like in this case a blue ink, it's just, I don't know, there's something magical about it. But this is a really nice spread. Oh, this is the Slav epic. So this is a series of work from him. It has to do with the history of the Czech people, or like the liberation of the Czech people, because they were ruled by different empires throughout time before they had their own sovereignty. This is very beautiful, the color here. So I'm very curious to read this. Oh my. So I guess he was a 33-degree Mason. That's interesting. That's the highest class of Mason that you can be. Oh wow. So these must be Masonic emblems that he designed. And that would be a really cool thing to collect if you could run across one of those. I'm sure they're super expensive, but very cool. So, stained glass windows in a church. Interesting. There's the man himself. And I very much, I love this writer. Anyhow, so Century Guild has a museum, I believe, or a location, and I guess this is our photos of it. And yeah, definitely check out their website if you're into these kinds of reproduction books, because they have some very interesting titles. And I have something on pre-order with them, a book that I'm very much looking forward to. And that is how I found this book, because I was shopping for that other book and then I came across this copy. Very cool. So that's gonna live on my bedside table. I'm going to read it in bed before I go to sleep. I think it'll be some interesting dreaming. But in contrast, I just wanted to show you what his commercial work looked like. So this is Alphonse Mucha. This is just a poster collection of different commercial pieces. So it's much more pleasant because it's for advertising purposes. And this kind of like movie posters, you know, wine bottle designs and theater posters. Even though it's commercial art, I find that there is still some, you know, deeper things going on in his work. There's a lot of allegory. He works a lot with allegory, and it's almost like these ladies represent the quality of the product, you know? Like, I think this is a wine and this is a champagne. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And the thing that I love about this period of time is that everything is designed, and there's sort of like a blurring of the lines between what is illustration, what is fine art, what is graphic design. It kind of all blends together in this like really beautiful, really human expression. And the natural motifs are really well blended. I feel like it's such a wonderful time where humanity was on the brink of something greater, and then we were driven into war. So it kind of stopped the progress of like this art movement and this expression, and I wish that we can get back to this place and then just start again, because I feel like this was a period of time when enlightening things were happening in every medium, you know, in art, in design, in architecture, in writing, in spiritualism. So these are some allegories of his, allegories of the times of day. I did do a video about making an allegorical picture representing the seasons, and this is his representation of the seasons. It's a cool project and something I was hoping to do the rest of the seasons throughout the year, but I never got around to it. Maybe I should try to make that a goal in the coming year. But even though this is kind of poster art, you can see how there is some spirituality there. There's some deeper things going on. And I think that's why he speaks to people, because he's a commercial artist, but so popular as an artist. Very different vibes, right? Very different vibes. But this is a representation of how, you know, you might do work in one style for money, but the work that you want to do for yourself is very different. Although it's still him, you know, it just has a different tone. I hope that was interesting to you guys, and do check out Century Guild's website. They are awesome, and they're doing some really wonderful reproductions of some forgotten gems. So I'll see you all next time, and thanks for watching.